It's completely normal to be nervous and be anxious and be overwhelmed. I feel that, and I'm building an AI and I've operated AI a long time. It's a lot. There's a lot happening. But the second thing I think is, I think this is a phenomenal time to grow and learn. I think that the more open you are to growing and learning, I think that it's going to make your job better. I think you're going to be more productive. You're going to deliver more value individually to your organization, and you're going to do better with your customers. There are barriers to get in, but that also makes it a really attractive market because it's hard for companies to succeed in, which means that if you're one of the companies that finds ways of succeeding in this space, all of the disadvantages of serving this market, right, all of the barriers then become attractive. Make sure you understand what the customer pain is, right? What makes their life hard? Why is it painful? What have they tried? What are they presently trying? What's getting in the way? I think deep customer empathy allows you to then not just build technology for technology's sake, but really build a solution that meets the customer where they are. And it's not like a one-time exercise you do. You need to constantly be doing that.
Welcome back. You're listening to 101 Talks with Sachin Menon, the podcast where we talk to the people building things that actually matter. I'm your host, Sachin Menon, and today, I'll be honest with you, I've been looking forward to this one. My guest has spent 15 years doing something most people in tech quietly avoid. He went deep into finance and insurance, the industries that still run on PDFs and fax machines, and he decided those industries deserved better AI than they were getting. He's the founder and CEO of Multimodal, a company building what they call agentic AI for the most complex workflows in financial services. Think about loan underwriting, insurance claims, KYC, the stuff that takes humans hours and is crying out for something smarter. Before Multimodal, he was at JP Morgan, Bridgewater, and two startups, one of which got acquired. He's written two books for O'Reilly. He's a Princeton grad. His name is Ankur Patel, and he's joining me today from New York. Ankur, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sachin. Really appreciate it.
Ankur, you have done JP Morgan, Bridgewater, and two acquired startups. And now this. What's the thing that finally made you say, this is the problem worth betting everything on?
I think over the course of my career, the one pattern that surfaced is there is so much intelligence from data. I think the tooling around how to get intelligence from data has changed. But in my early days, it was looking at financial market data to trade different assets, right? Financial assets, primarily bonds around the world and currencies as well. And I leveraged that to do things like finding patterns in transactions to catch money launderers, to fight fraud, to build data products for hedge funds, to provide spend intelligence for CFOs. So the common pattern is in lots and lots of messy data and documents, how do we surface intelligence? And I think with multimodal, it's all come together because I think we could do far more complex work than ever before. So today, we're trying to do more work around lending and underwriting, things that would have required human attention. But frankly, given where AI is, it can allow the people doing these roles to be massively enabled because they have AI agents that are working behind the scenes alongside.
Wow. And Multimodal is your third startup, right? Does the third time genuinely feel different?
It does. I think in some ways it's a lot easier because you know what things you need to get right, right? And a lot of it comes down to did you pick the right market? Do you have the right idea? Can you assemble a great team? Can you very quickly build out a product that's going to be competitive? And then can you also figure out what I'd call unfair advantages that you have in terms of marketing your product and selling it to your audience? But I think what's changed is the market backdrop. I've never seen a space move as quickly as we see AI move today. So what used to happen slowly over many years now is getting compressed into much tighter timeframes. So it's fiercely competitive. It's moving insanely fast, but it helps that this is my third startup. So we're able to remain calm and centered as we go and build out more of our product and build out more of the startup.
Wow, amazing. I also, while researching you, you said your conviction is that the future of AI is vertical, not horizontal. For the bankers in the audience, unpack that like we are all in a Monday morning meeting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people first experience horizontal AI. And what I mean by that is AI that's been trained to do lots of use cases, lots of different verticals. And so when they chat with ChatGPT or Claude, they're getting answers that are more generalist. And I think those players like OpenAI and Anthropic, they are doing a great job with being able to answer those questions. Now, I think for startups, the advantage is that you're able to go narrower into a specific vertical where you are able to address the regulatory environment that that vertical faces, the compliance requirements, right? All of the decision trees that need to be there. And I think that's an arena for startups to build really compelling moats. But I think all of the horizontal, more generalist use cases, I think that's an arena where the OpenAIs and the Anthropics and the Googles went out. And so I think verticalization is going to be really important. So you'll see startups thrive in spaces like legal, healthcare, and then, of course, the space we do, which is financial services.
The vertical space and the niche spaces, right?
That's right. That's right. Niche spaces where you can build defensibility, right? Because your ability to address the particular regulations and compliance needs and audit requirements and ways of working are really, really well refined.
Okay. Okay. Ankur, now before we get into serious stuff, I have something to tell you. Something that happened to a friend of mine. True story, roughly true. He works at a bank, big one. Last month, his manager told him they were rolling out an AI agent to help him with loan processing. He was excited, very excited. First day with the new system, he submits a loan application file for review, comes back in 12 seconds, approved, summarized. He submits another 11 seconds, submits a third, 9 seconds. By lunchtime, he submitted his entire backlog for the month. His manager calls him, asks, why is he not doing anything? He says, I am supervising the AI. The manager thinks about it for a second and promotes the AI to supervise my friend. So is multimodal behind it?
Not this particular instance, I don't think, but our frame is very much the same. I think the role of people changes from doing a lot of this paperwork to supervising and managing the team of AI agents. And I think, frankly, what we've seen with our customers is that a lot of the administrative work, reading an application, reading and supporting documentation, AI does that, right? That's like the more administrative work that has to get done. But the employees that are in these functions, they spend more time with the customers, explaining what the loan is about, what the rates involve, just walking them through the process, doing the things that otherwise they wouldn't have time to do. And they're also able to do a lot more volume, right? So I think the whole world would be better off if we could get, what I would say, more competitive quotes, lower rates, faster quotes, so we could go and get a comparison of all the different offers on the market. And you could frankly also have then more innovative loan products that are available. So you get lending for all sorts of things that otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get loans for. And so I think we're going to get into a much wilder, much weirder, but much more what I would say complete lending environment, right? So the availability of lending products is going to increase massively. This is going to get far easier to do loan applications going forward.
To get more clarity out of it, paint me a picture of a Monday morning meeting at a mid-sized bank or insurance company before multimodal. What does that actually look like?
Yeah, so imagine you're at a bank and you do commercial lending. So you're lending to businesses. Now, when businesses want loans, they're usually sending in tax documents, bank statements, maybe details about their revenue profile. So that will usually come through P&L statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements, and such. Now, there is a backlog that gets built because each of these application packets has a lot of spreadsheets, they have a lot of data. And so if you have a small team of 10 loan officers and underwriters working through this, you frankly need 2, 3 weeks to catch up on your volume, but the volume keeps building up. And so your customers, they already asked other lenders for quotes as well. And so they will go with the first quotes that they get typically. Right. And so you're behind on the volume, queues build up. That's the current state that a lot of lending operations ultimately are stuck in. And
Yeah.
I think
And
what we're trying to do is we're
yeah.
trying to make it possible so that when applications come in, you let the borrower know if they're missing a document, right? If they're missing a tax return or a bank statement, let them know right then and there. And ideally, within 24 hours, you should let the loan officer, so the internal employee at the bank, know that all the files have been processed, all the data has been extracted, it ran through the normal diligence requirements. You calculated the ratios, you made decisions. And so the loan officer and the underwriter are doing much faster review. And so the ideal objective is to get a quote out to the business within 24 hours, right? And maybe if in 72 hours, so within 3 days. But if you do that as a business, you're going to win on more volume of loans. And that's ultimately what we're trying to engineer for our customers here.
To take it from what you said, insurance, underwriting, origination, claim processing, these aren't simple copy paste jobs. How does an AI agent handle the edge cases, the weird ones?
Yeah. Yeah. So the weird ones is where all the complexity lies. And I think for us, for our customers, first, I think we have pre-built playbooks. So workflows that have already been pre-built for the use cases our customers face, like commercial lending, consumer lending and the like. And so we've addressed a lot of the edge cases that you normally would encounter. But every lender has its own ways of doing things. They have their own policies, procedures, ways of handling exceptions. We allow our customers to basically coach their AI, their version of their AI, with all of the exception handling that they have built within the team. And sometimes that's not even well documented. You have a team of underwriters that know how to do this because they've been doing it for decades. They have their ways of addressing the edge cases. What we do as a vendor is we allow our customers to distill the exception handling in ways that AI can learn from. And over time, so after a few weeks, the AI is able to understand how the exception handling, the weird cases should be dealt with. And so it gets better and better, right? It gets progressively better at this nature of work. And that's what our customers find a lot of value in because it's getting better with every single application that the AI sees.
It continuously learns
That's right.
the process,
That's
right?
right.
And focusing on you, Ankur, you have written 2 books. You are running a podcast. You have, I've seen that you have around 466 YouTube videos, a newsletter, and you are running a startup. Is there a secret, or are you just better at saying no to sleep than the rest of us?
I mean, long days are definitely a part of it. I think putting in a lot of work and effort is really important in a fast moving market. But I think what I found to be really valuable is you need to create a very good team around you. And you need to be good at figuring out when do you delegate and then when do you drill in and get closer to the work that's being done. And so we have a phenomenal team at Multimodal that supports me and supports the programs you see, like the podcast, the newsletters, all of the work we do on social, all the work we do on web. We do quarterly reports, we have webinars, we have advisory boards. And I think it's really important to operate these multiple channels because our customers, they get information from multiple places. And we need to really occupy and live in all of the channels that they live in because we need to inform them, we need to educate them, we need to inspire them. We also need to learn from them. So we do a lot of work getting feedback from prospects and customers around what are they doing, where do they get stuck, where is the pain, and then we distill that and make that broadly available to the market and we use that to improve our product. So it's really important. Like I think you can't build in isolation. You need to build in a public way with your customers. And we're doing that across the various channels that you see today. And that's being supported by the phenomenal team that we have at Multimodal that own different parts of the strategy.
Yeah. And talking about multimodal was selected as one of the 15 startups globally under the Google Cloud AI Accelerator, right? How do you stay focused at that stage? What are you actually saying no to right now?
Yeah. I think we're saying no to a lot of use cases and even segments of financial services that we're not able to address. So for us, where we found incredible traction is mid-market banking. So what I would say is like those are credit unions and community banks and smaller lenders that, they don't have a full-blown engineering or AI team, but they still have the same needs and complexity and problems that the bigger banks do. And so we're able to very quickly serve them and get value to them. But that does mean we need to say no to certain players, like large enterprise banks where there are complex sales cycles and there are lots of requirements and needs. We will occasionally work with some of them, but there has to be a very clear need that they have that they articulate. And if they can't, we just can't go and build market presence to sell into them today. Right. We will tackle that, but it's saying no to certain segments of the market that we know we could add value in, but we don't want to focus on them today because we're dead set on the mid-market banking that we're focused on.
To understand the startup culture better, to get more clarity on a team, how has your team contributed to the success of the company?
They've been absolutely essential. I think we've done a really good job of hiring people with a lot of raw potential. And a lot of people at Multimodal started off just as individual contributors. They were owning small slivers and slices of Multimodal. And I think because they had such great potential and they applied themselves and they were, in some ways pushed and encouraged by the rest of the team. I think many of them have matured into larger roles. So they have more responsibility. They've become empowered with agentic AI. They've taken on leadership positions. And so I think it's really important that you have a culture where you have builders. Builders are attracted to it. They want to make contributions. They want to grow. They want to challenge themselves personally and professionally. And they want to be part of a fast moving startup. Momentum is key. And I think we've been able to engineer enough momentum and enough professional growth where a lot of people are encouraged to join and be part of that journey.
Talking about the big picture, finance is considered one of the most regulated industries on the earth. Is that a moat for multimodal or is it a minefield?
But I think financial services is very complex. It's hard to sell into. There's a lot of regulatory burden. There's a lot of existing software and ways of working that are hard to change. And I think a lot of people from afar would say that's a really hard market. Too many moving pieces. It's complex. It's hard to get scale on very quickly. And that's absolutely true. It's hard to get in, right? There are barriers to get in, but that also makes it a really attractive market because it's hard for companies to succeed in, which means that if you're one of the companies that finds ways of succeeding in this space, all of the disadvantages of serving this market, right? All of the barriers then become attractive. They become part of the moat that's established for you to then build defensibility in long term. And so it's hard to get in, but once you're in, if you do a great job, that you're going to have a very durable, long lasting business. Whereas if you tackle a space that doesn't have barriers of entry, or at least not significant ones, it's easier to get in, easier to scale, but it also works against you because it's also fungible. You could move from one vendor to another vendor. People aren't wedded to one solution. And so for us, like I think the barriers of entry are attractive. We also know this space and we know we have an unfair advantage of being close to the customer base, knowing what they want and building for them. So that's why we like it. But you need to know the space intimately in order for you to serve it. So I don't think we would be well positioned to serve something like legal. We don't know and understand legal, right? But we understand financial services, so we could do a phenomenal job serving this market as a result.
And what advice would you give aspiring entrepreneurs in the AI space, specifically in the finance?
I think a couple of things. One is make sure you understand what the customer pain is, right? What makes their life hard? Why is it painful? What have they tried? What are they presently trying? What's getting in the way? I think deep customer empathy allows you to then not just build technology for technology's sake, but really build a solution that meets the customer where they are. And it's not like a one-time exercise you do. You need to constantly be doing that. But the closer you are to the customer, maybe you were that customer in a prior life, right? Right. Maybe you did the work that your customers are doing today. You did that in previous years. But that level of awareness and recognition and customer empathy, I think is a really important precondition. So I would start there and then focus on the technology, right? Whereas I think a lot of builders, they are enamored by the technology and then they're trying to chase which market to serve. I think you need to start with the market first.
All right. That was a good conversation. And we come to rapid fire. First thought, what comes to your mind? No overthinking. We'll go.
Yes.
The AI model you secretly love more than you publicly admit.
I think for us, it's all the Claude models. I think they're phenomenal at tool calling, right? Like the Opus models, just like from agentic coding, they're phenomenal for this use case. So we absolutely adore them and are big fans there.
And book you would recommend to every entrepreneur.
I think this book, Crossing the Chasm, I think it does a really good job of showing you that you need to win the early adopters that are rabid fans of the product. Then you go after the big mainstream majority, right? So just understanding that the early adopters are different from the mainstream majority and what should you build first and what should you build second. And the book is decades old, but I think it's still extraordinarily valuable.
Most impactful piece of advice you have ever received.
And I think the advice is that you don't sell into companies, you sell into the people at the companies. So another way of saying it is you want to make sure you sell into a person and win them over and make them a champion, get them on your team. Because a company it doesn't have personality, it doesn't have emotions, it doesn't have it's too much of a it's like a black box. But winning over people is the first step in the journey. Because once you get them on your side, they will help you navigate into a larger company, right? So this is, I think, the art of selling that I think a lot of people get wrong. And I think it's really, really important to spend time learning.
Yes, very true. And one thing you wish you knew before starting your first startup.
I think it's really important who you choose as co-founders, and it's really important who you choose as investors. These are very, very long-term relationships, many, many years. Sometimes it could be a decade plus. So making sure you make those right choices, not rush into them, very, very critical. And I would highly advise first-time founders to get that right.
And what's next for Ankur? What is the next thing what you're going to do?
Well, I think the next phase for me is, I've been building companies a long time. I want to make multimodal extraordinarily successful. But I think for me, in my professional journey, I want to make sure multimodal um, has a excellent leadership team, right? Because as we grow from 30 people to 100 people, it's going to be very important that we have the right scaffolding and we groom the right set of leaders to take the company forward as we see next tranches of growth. So that's what I'm going to be personally investing and spending a lot of my time on over the next 2 years or so.
Ankur, great conversation. What you're building is harder than the easy AI pitch. That's exactly why it matters. These industries deserve AI trained on how they actually work, not a generic tool dropped on a legacy system. One last thing, what would you say to the analyst or underwriter listening right now who's just a little nervous about what's coming?
My first thing is it's completely normal to be nervous and be anxious and be overwhelmed. I feel that, and I'm building an AI and I've operated AI a long time. It's a lot. There's a lot happening. But the second thing I think is, I think this is a phenomenal time to grow and learn. I think that the more open you are to growing and learning, I think that it's going to make your job better. I think you're going to be more productive. You're going to deliver more value individually to your organization, and you're going to do better with your customers. And so I think with that more positive frame of mind, it's a little bit more optimistic, but that changes how you approach technology. Now that technology is no longer a threat, it's an opportunity. And just that light switch from viewing it as a threat to viewing it as an opportunity encourages people to learn. And I think that's the first small step to getting this next big inflection point right professionally.
That's a note I wanted to end on. Thank you. Thank you, Ankur. Genuinely, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Sachin. Really appreciate this.
You are watching 101 Talks with Sachin Menon, where we break in big, complex ideas into simple, grounded conversations. Thank you. See you in the next episode.